All right. This is Jamel Gibbs, and welcome to another House Flippin' 101. Today I'm coming at you live from Reading, Pennsylvania, where it is absolutely freezing. And let me tell you, I think I need another vacation. I can't take all the snow. I'm snowed in for the past few days, and they're talking about another storm coming. But anyway, today we're doing a special questions from the viewers episode, and our question of the day comes from my man Tony Pantoni in Orange County, New York. And he said, Jamel, I have put a wholesale property under an option contract for $95K. After marketing the property for about a month, I found a buyer who will pay me $100K for it. Tony went on to say, at the signing of the contract, I collected $2,000, which means $3K will be owed to me at closing. Now my seller's attorney or my seller's lawyer wants me to turn over my $2,000 as the escrow. Once the closing takes place, he will pay me the whole $5K. What do you think I should do? I live in Orange County, New York. Also, I'm getting ready to assign a wholesale multi-family for $7K and do not want any issues that would keep it from closing. Is there anything that I should do differently? Regards, Tony Pantoni. Well, first off, Tony, let me thank you for asking such a great question. And there's three different ways, just to answer your question, there's three different ways that you can handle this situation. The first way is by going through the title company, and they may require you to put your money into escrow. The second way is to go through the attorney, which I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. That's the situation that you're currently in. They will require you to put the money in escrow. And the third way is to do it yourself, and you hold the money. Okay? First, let's talk about going through the title company. 9 times out of 10, the title company you are going to use will ask you for a deposit to be held in escrow, depending on your relationship with them. Now, that's a big part in them asking you for a deposit. Okay, it really all depends on your relationship with the title company. The reason for this is because the transaction is not valid unless there is some money exchanged. Okay, let me repeat that. The transaction will not be valid unless there is some type of compensation exchanged. Okay, obviously there are definitely ways to get around this, which is not in the scope of this training, but for the most part, you will have to give up your deposit so that the title company can put it into escrow. And again, that really depends on your relationship with the title company. Now, when we're speaking in reference to attorneys, the same thing goes when you're dealing with the lawyers. They're gonna want to make sure that this is a valid deal. So to answer your question, the answer is yes. I think that you should go ahead and give the attorney the $2,000 so that he can put it into escrow and then receive your $5,000 back at the closing. Okay, it's a $5,000 profit, and you'll receive all of your money back at the closing. The longer you wait to do this, the longer it's gonna take to close the deal. Okay, and like I said, there's also another way, which is one of my favorite ways, which is doing it yourself. Now, the way to do this is to go down to the courthouse and do the deed of transfer at the courthouse. And this is the cheapest and the fastest way to do it, but make sure that the assignee, which is your buyer that you're wholesaling the contract to, make sure that they do their own due diligence. They're responsible for running title and doing their own due diligence on the property before you transfer deed. Either way, whether you go through the title company or you go through an attorney or you do it yourself, make sure that the check that the assignee writes to you is non-refundable. So in other words, when you assign your contract over to your buyer, your investor buyer, what you want to do is make sure that that cash is non-refundable. Okay, make sure that check is non-refundable. This is big because if your buyer turns around and tries to walk away from the deal, they're going to lose out on their initial deposit. So technically speaking, they will have to close the transaction. So if you're going to send that $2,000 over to the attorney, make sure that the money is non-refundable. If you already signed the contract, it's probably a little too late. But for the most part, for future references, make sure that whenever someone writes you a check, that check is non-refundable. Now, on the flip side, if you were to write a check to a seller, you want to write it to the title company and make sure that it is refundable. This way you can get your money back if you don't close the deal. And again, that's beyond the scope of this video as well. But I hope that answers your question, Tony. Thanks for asking such a great question once again. If any of the viewers have any questions that they are burning to get answered, feel free to leave a comment below. Feel free to ask your questions below. And thanks for joining me on this episode of House Flippin' 101. I'll talk to you later.